Today I'm going to talk about how to get student buy-in and how to reward students for points. The first thing I'd like to talk about is how the students in our school are rewarded for their dojo. So the one thing that I want to point out is, and this is really important, research shows that in order to maintain a positive relationship with students, every negative interaction has to be paired with 5 positive interactions in order to keep the relationship positive. So it's something that our staff really works hard to make sure that we're doing, and the way that you can check that on Class Dojo is that would be an 85% ratio. So if you look at your class report and see that your percent positive is less than 85%, that means you're taking away too many points. You want to be around about that percentage. That would be like the sweet spot. And then, so in our school, because we're a PBIS school, we use that 85% as a way for students to earn their way into our PBIS incentive celebrations. So we have monthly incentives and then we have quarterly incentives. And if you're not a PBIS school, you're not doing Class Dojo school-wide, that's still something that you can do in your classroom. You could do monthly incentives. Any student who has 85% could earn their way to a class party or a lunch bunch or something like that that you can do within just your classroom. So that's the first thing I wanted to share, is that we do it school-wide. That way we have certain things that the students are earning anyway, and that 85% is really important. And then the second thing I want to share is how you can use Class Dojo as a tool for whole brain teaching. If you do whole brain teaching and you use the Super Improvers wall, you can use Class Dojo for that. So you can change your students' monster icons. I'll show you how to do that at the end, but you can change their icons. So you could have everybody starting out with the same monster, or you can have them start out with something completely different. That last year I used Pokemon, so everyone got a random Pokemon, and then as we went through and students earned certain points, they were able to either evolve their Pokemon or pick their own Pokemon and start from the beginning with a Pokemon of their choice, and they were evolving their Pokemon as we went. So you can do that. You can change their actual icons like you would change their colors or their levels on a Super Improvers wall. So if every student has a very specific goal that they're working towards, you can then use Class Dojo to kind of graph that or show that progress. And then another thing that I want to share, this is the way that I use Dojo in my classroom. The key is student buy-in. The students need to care about the points, otherwise it's useless. So the way that I do it is, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but I make Dojo like kind of the center of almost everything. So I had flexible seating. I still do, but I had it a little bit differently last year, and students would choose their seats based on how many Dojo points they had. So the more points they had, the higher their priority on the list of students who are going to choose their seats were. So that's one way. They obviously cared about those points because they wanted to be able to be the first person to pick so they could get the exact seat that they wanted. Another thing that we do is I make the students require a certain number of points to earn recess. Now, before you freak out, I don't take recess from them. I take recess choice from them. So if they don't have enough points, they have to do an activity that I pick. They don't get to choose whatever they want. And normally the activity that I pick has to do with movement and getting their energy out, but it's not really as fun. So that's one thing that we do. Another thing that I started to do when behaviors were getting a little bit more challenging, so there's certain times of the year, so October, spring break kind of times, I would make them require a certain number of points in order to earn lunch with their friends in the lunchroom. So if they didn't have enough points, they would have to eat lunch in my classroom with me, but it wasn't a reward. It was silent lunch. They weren't allowed to interact. I didn't really interact with them either unless it was to talk about why they didn't have enough points. So I understand that not everyone would be comfortable with that, but that's something that worked for me in my class. I didn't have to do it very often, and I just want to say that I didn't do it every single day. So that consistency is really important. I did it enough, especially in the beginning, that it was an expectation. They understood that, but every now and then, especially especially if I realized that I hadn't been as vigilant with rewarding points. I didn't take their lunch with their friends or their recess away, because that was on me, that wasn't on them. So it wasn't an everyday thing, and some days I needed my lunch and they all needed their recess. So that's total teacher discretion. It still works. And then rewarding students. So I know a lot of people do like a dojo menu where students spend their points. I started doing that when I first started dojo, but I couldn't keep up with it. It's very challenging. Dojo does not have any way to take points without it becoming a negative point. So the ways that I did in the past, though, in case that's still something you want to do, is I had an Excel sheet where I tracked everybody's points before I cleared them and reset them, and then I was able to track who spent what. Now, you could do that on a clipboard and have students write down what they spend if you want it to be student managed. I just couldn't keep up with it, and the store, my class store, was never open enough for it to be effective. So my students didn't care because it wasn't very often that they were actually able to spend their points. So that's why I did away with it. Something that you can do, though, is you could have milestones. So even when you reset points, so I obviously, if they were earning recess and lunch, I reset their points every single day, so they started fresh. But even when you reset points, you can see their total number of points. So instead of having them spend points, you could have them like every time they hit 10, or and then 20 and then 30, or every time they hit 20 and then 40 and then 60, etc., or 50. They could choose from the prize bucket, or have a lunch bunch, or pick from a menu that's easier to manage. So that's something that might work better. But like I said, I don't really reward points with extrinsic rewards. It's more of earning privileges in the classroom, and then, like I said, a super improver as well. So I try to make it more intrinsic than extrinsic, but I do understand that some students still need that extrinsic motivation. But like I said, you can make it as simple as, if you have 85% at the end of the day, you get a piece of candy, or you get a sticker, or whatever it is that works for you. The 85% is easy than having them spend points too. And that also keeps you accountable to make sure that you are maintaining that positive relationship. This is how you would change the monsters of your students on Class Dojo. Make sure that you already have the images that you would like to replace. So if you go to settings, at a class, you pick a student, you click on their avatar, and then you can change their avatar. So you can see that there are the Pokemon ones that I used last year. So you have some options here, and if you, obviously you would not have the Pokemon yet, so the way that I created that was you would go to create new set, you would name it, and then you would choose images to upload as the new set. So I uploaded each of these images for this Pokemon set, and then you would just pick the avatar and you're done, and that is it. That student's avatar has changed. As always, if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you.